Hey, welcome back to the Disney Plus Everyday Challenge, and today we have National Treasure: Edge of History. This is a series based on the Nicolas Cage series of films. Nicolas Cage does not appear in the series that I know so far. I only watched the first episode. It is from 2022. It is 10 episodes long. Yeah, 10 episodes long. And that is it, because it's already been canceled. Each of the episodes are about 44 minutes long. And it's like when Disney just went on a killing spree and decided to kill a lot of shows in the not Marvel, not Star Wars, not Pixar, not core Disney, anything that was kind of... I mean, I think they brought this was this originally... Was National was National Treasure part of the original Disney milieu of films? I think it was. I don't think it was brought over from 20th Century Fox. Either way, this takes the formula of those films, puts it into a series, and gives us a star in Lisette Oliveira playing Jess. She is a very skilled puzzle solver and just problem solver. She wants to be part of the FBI, part of the cryptology department, so figuring out things. Well, she can't, and this is something they bring up a whole lot, is that she's undocumented. We discover why she's undocumented at the very beginning of the episode. Again, I only watched one episode. And it's because her father was a treasure hunter, much like Nicolas Cage, but 21 years ago when she was a baby. And it feels like that was the last time one of the movies was made, 21 years ago. Like, it could be the case. I didn't check. But he runs afoul of some nefarious people who also want this treasure, this very important treasure that hooks back into the Masons and everything else. Yeah, there's a whole conspiracy history and everything else that goes into it, and elaborate puzzles and traps and everything else that goes along with this. Again, I'm not going to spoil everything for you. I'm just giving you the high-level overview. It's the kind of thing that, yeah, you don't want to give away, because this kind of story especially is all about the twists and turns and the puzzle reveals and everything else that goes with this kind of adventure. So I will not ruin anything for you. Just giving you an idea of what the setting is. It's in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Jess and her best friend and roommate live together. They kind of have... Jess has an ex-boyfriend, and her friend Tasha, played by Zuri Reed, she is on the verge of breaking up with her boyfriend, but they still hang out with them. So it's a very strange situation, but all told, Jess kind of follows in her father's footsteps, in the sense that she's a lot like him. She's been able to figure out some things that only he figured out back in the day, and she puts him in the path. Certain things put her in the path that are really weirdly coincidental. Like, a lot of this stuff doesn't feel fully earned. It just feels like, oh, she got lucky here. She works at a storage facility, and they just happen to open the right thing, and her boss told her to inventory it. Maybe we'll find out later that she was intended, like somebody told the guy to tell her to inventory it, and then figure out who owned it. And that person, it leads to a certain character that will give Jess her agency and will set her forth on an adventure that will change her life and her fortune in some cases, hopefully. And by the way, everybody, this is also the kind of show story that could only be told in this era. It could not have just been dropped into the 90s or even 10 years ago, because everybody has a job where they stream stuff, and they like do podcast like this, but live, and they're half my age, and they look for sneakers, and they collect them, and then they resell them. Like, that's and they do escape rooms. It's fully set in 2022. Like it may not be the same thing 10 years from now, and it's certainly not the same thing that these characters would be doing if they wrote it 10 years ago. So it is strange like that. So it's going to be I don't know if it's going to age well. Like you watch this 10 years from now, it's going to be like, that was the 20s, the 2020s. That's so strange. But either way, it looks like it has the potential to be exciting and has lots of things. It's I know there's going to be people who are going to be looking at this and going, National Treasure, I love those films. I want more Nicolas Cage. It's just not going to happen. And does this girl, Jess, is she a lot like Nicolas Cage in the puzzle solving department? And I think she's much nicer to look at than Nicolas Cage, but that's just my opinion. It's just the way it is. I've just never found Nicolas Cage that attractive, personally. But yeah, so it's you get more of a friend dynamic rather than a family dynamic, as we saw in the 2 films that were released with Nicolas Cage. And so these friends kind of work on it together. Most of them sort of tag along as she figures stuff out that nobody else can figure out. And you do have those moments where she gets quiet, kind of like Nicolas Cage does, and sort of feels things out, and you can see certain things highlighted, and she might even have I don't know if there's an overdub or she's talking out loud or not, but she's like explaining certain things, the processes in her mind. So that element is still there. But of course, there's bad guys who are trying to beat her to the punch or use whatever knowledge she acquires to get a ultra valuable treasure, which we don't fully understand as yet what it's all about. All I know, it has to do with the Aztecs, Incas, and Mayans. It's a big deal. It's very Native American, Mesoamerican kind of realm, that Central America. That old world before all the Europeans showed up, before the Spaniards showed up. Yeah, all those. Before all those, there was Harvey Keitel appears in this to provide a lot of exposition. Let's just say that. Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's something I would like to see finish off. But part of me is like, oh, it's only 1 season. Well, is there a cliffhanger? And am I going to be disappointed that I'm not going to get resolution on this main story? Does it close off? And so I want to watch more of it, but I'm also afraid I'm going to waste 9 more hours and end up with nothing. So I don't know. It's up to you. Obviously, I'm not going to force you. But it's entertaining. It's well shot. It takes a bit of lucky story leaps for our character. Not that she is not skilled or anything. She is definitely a genius in her own right, the same way that Nicolas Cage was in the films. But yeah, she puts together some pieces that, yeah, maybe, oh, hey, I'm not that bright. I'm just not going to figure these things out. I'm not going to obviously know how to angle something the right way to get light on it, and then, stuff like that. But hey, that's me. Maybe you figure it out before she does. If you can figure out these things, the little puzzles and things, before she does, consider yourself a genius and tell me all about it in the comments. Yeah, it's. I think it's a good. Feels to me like something I watch on a rainy Sunday afternoon, just kicking back and doing nothing, and just trying to do it while I'm cleaning, but then getting sucked in and just watching it under a blanket. It sounds like a good time. So give it a shot if this is your thing. But again, if your expectations are, Nicolas Cage doing his thing, it's gonna be not good enough for you right from the start. That's just the way it is. So let's pick tomorrow's episode. Solve this puzzle. 153. 153. Do not have to scroll far. Oh, so close. So close to, I had shorts all around me, but we have, it's not a documentary. It's not a live, not a reality show, but it appears to be well, maybe it's sort of a documentary. It's more like a music interview and maybe performance. But this time it's not like a Disney pop star. This is Michael Strahan interviewing John Bon Jovi. Halfway there. Well, we're halfway there. We're living on a prayer. You know, Michael Strahan and John Bon Jovi, halfway there. It's newly added to my list. It's the first time it's been even on here just this month. So, yeah, Michael Strahan and John Bon Jovi halfway there for the next Disney Plus Everyday Challenge. I'll see you back here tomorrow with that.